This is the story of the death of Jankiel Piskosz, a man otherwise totally unknown to history. Indeed, this morning I'd never even heard of him. I found his name in an virtually unknown archive in a lost file hidden at the very back. A file which maybe has been seen 10, 15 times at most since it was written up in 1942. Jankiel Piskosz was born in 1913 in Radom. The date of his birth is unknown. His father was Celtic, his mother was Hitler. He was 28 years old at the time of his death. He was a cobbler by trade. Now, Radom is around 110 kilometers to the south of Warsaw. In 1939, of its 100,000 people population, around 30,000 of them were Jewish, and the Nazis locked them up into two ghettos. One in the south of the city had around 3,000 inhabitants, one in the centre had around 27,000 inhabitants. All I know of Jankiel Piskosz comes from his police file, because on the 10th of April 1942 he was found outside the ghetto and arrested. At the time he was looking for work. Maybe it was to feed his family, because although in Radom conditions were considerably better than in Warsaw and Łódź, where starvation and disease was decimating the population, in Radom this wasn't so much the case, but of course people would have been going hungry. He was picked up, he was held in a prison, and on the 21st of May 1942, a 5-person court condemned him to death under paragraph 4b of a ordinance of the 13th of September 1940 and reaffirmed on the 15th of October 1941, which gave the death sentence for Jews found outside the ghetto. At the time of his arrest, Jankiel Piskosz was not wearing the yellow star. The court consisted of 5 people, 3 of whom signed the death warrant: a Dr. Burmeister, a Dr. Kubowitz, and the prosecutor Betthausen. On the same day, they also signed a death warrant for a death sentence for another person, Heinrich Himmler. He was from Kozienice, born in 1914. His file also exists. On the 12th of June, the sentence was carried out. The file also gave me 3 other stories, 3 other people who around the same time were killed, and the same names of Burmeister, Kubowitz and Betthausen were on them. Aaron Budke, born 1895. Rosa Fischer, born 1901. Ita Britt, born 1910. Perhaps the latter 2 were mothers who had left the ghetto in order to find food for their children, to find work or whatever. Nonetheless, they were killed. These are but 5 tragedies among 6 million. People who left the Radom ghetto in order to find the wherewithal to stay alive. Nonetheless, had they not done this, the Nazis would have finished them off anyway. Deportations from the ghetto to the death camp in Treblinka started in August 1942. And in several waves, people were taken progressively to Treblinka and to Auschwitz.